Houthis high seas hijinks, when missiles miss the mark and the point. Ever wonder what happens when a group with more enthusiasm than engineering takes on the U.S. Navy? Buckle up, because the answer involves more fizzle than sizzle and a whole lot of head scratching. So the story goes like this. Houthi rebels, bless their hearts, decided to launch a missile and drone attack on U.S. Navy ships. Ambitious, right? You'd think they were auditioning for a Michael Bay movie. Except, reality decided to take a different script. According to official reports, the attack failed. Miserably. Like banana peel on an ice rink levels of failure. Let's dissect this attack, shall we? We're talking about missiles and drones presumably aimed at some very expensive, very well-defended U.S. Navy vessels. The problem? These weren't exactly precision-guided munitions. More like hope-guided munitions. The kind that make you wonder if the targeting system involved a dartboard and a blindfold. And the drones? Well, let's just say they probably pose more of a threat to seagulls than destroyers. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so a bunch of rebels took a swing and missed. Big deal. And you'd be partially right. But here's the thing, even a failed attack can have implications. It highlights the ongoing instability in the region. It also shows the Houthis' willingness to poke the bear, even if they're using a very small, very ineffective stick. Let's be clear, the U.S. Navy isn't exactly quaking in its boots. They've got layers of defense that would make an onion jealous. But this incident does serve as a reminder that even the most powerful military in the world needs to stay vigilant. Complacency is the enemy, even when the enemy is armed with duct tape and wishful thinking. This whole situation is part of a larger geopolitical game. The Houthis are backed by Iran, and the conflict in Yemen is a proxy war between regional powers. So, while the attack itself might be laughable, the underlying tensions are anything but. It's a reminder that the Middle East is a complex chessboard, and everyone's making moves, even if some of those moves are questionable. Of course, no conflict is complete without a healthy dose of propaganda. Expect both sides to spin this incident to their advantage. The Houthis will likely claim some sort of victory, even if it's just a moral one, and the U.S. will probably use it to justify their continued presence in the region. It's all part of the game. So, what can we learn from this? First, don't bring a drone to a gunfight. Second, the U.S. Navy is still a force to be reckoned with. And third, the Middle East is a complicated place where even failed attacks can have ripple effects. What does the future hold? More of the same, probably. The Houthis will likely continue to launch attacks, and the U.S. Navy will likely continue to swat them down. It's a cycle of escalation and de-escalation with no clear end in sight. For Americans, this incident might seem like a distant concern, but it's a reminder that the U.S. is deeply involved in global affairs, whether we like it or not. Our military is deployed around the world, and our interests are intertwined with those of other nations. So, even a failed attack in the Red Sea can have consequences for us at home. Let's talk about money. Wars are expensive, even small ones, and the U.S. has been spending a lot of money on military operations in the Middle East for decades. Is it worth it? That's a question that Americans need to ask themselves. Are we getting a good return on our investment? Or are we just throwing good money after bad? It's easy to get caught up in the details of missiles and drones, but let's not forget the human cost of conflict. The war in Yemen has caused immense suffering, and millions of people are in need of humanitarian assistance. It's a tragedy that often gets overlooked in the headlines. Is there a better way? Of course there is. Diplomacy. Talking instead of shooting, finding common ground instead of drawing lines in the sand. It's not always easy, but it's always worth trying. This incident also highlights the limits of military power. You can't bomb your way to peace. You can't solve complex political problems with missiles and drones. Sometimes the best solution is to step back, listen, and try to understand the other side's perspective. The media also has a role to play. We need to report the facts, not Shandong emotions. We need to provide context, not just sound bites. We need to help people understand the complexities of the world, not just scare them with headlines. And finally, the public has a responsibility to be informed, to read beyond the headlines, to think critically about the information they're receiving, to demand more from their leaders. This incident is just one small piece of a much larger puzzle. The world is changing rapidly, and the old rules no longer apply. We need to adapt. We need to be flexible. We need to be willing to challenge our assumptions. Is the American dream still alive? Can we still build a better future for ourselves and our children? That's a question that we need to answer, not just with words, but with actions. So, what can you do? First, stay informed. Read widely, listen to different perspectives, and think critically about what you're hearing. Second, engage in the political process. Contact your elected officials, attend town hall meetings, and make your voice heard. And third, support organizations that are working to promote peace and understanding around the world. Don't just be a passive observer. Be an active participant in shaping the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful analysis on global events. Share this video with your friends and family, and let's start a conversation about how we can build a more peaceful and prosperous world. Click the notification bell so you don't miss our next video.